What's up, guys? It's Simon. So, um, wanted to get my pendulum, my little fidget buddy. So, I know that I'm kind of I guess, a day late, and I should really be starting on week 3. But because, as of right now, I don't have any videos to follow the week 3 question, and because of how I felt yesterday, I was kind of just in a mopey, don't give a shit, don't want to do anything mood. So, because of that, I decided to not do the old soul video yesterday. And what other video did I want to do yesterday? I don't remember. Oh, I was gonna do my super moon time capsule video. So I'm gonna do that today, along with this week's question. And sure, there's another one. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a video response to Moody Thursday's video, which I just watched and already forgot the name of. Oh, it was about initiation and self-dedication. So I'm doing 2 video responses today, and yeah, one video, one video on the YouTube Pagan Challenge, and an original video. Well, I guess this one kind of ties into the YouTube Pagan Challenge as well, but anyway, instead of rambling on, let's just get to it. So, you're going to see me look down a lot because I just finished rewatching Samantha Valens' video. I think it's called I'm an Old Soul. Hold on. Okay. I had to go, like, pick my teeth because there was something that just kept bothering me. I think, oh, there we go. I think it was, like, my gum or something. And I didn't want to, like, go digging in my mouth on camera because that's just disgusting. So, like I said, Samantha Valens made this video called, I'm an Old Soul. And I don't remember how long ago it was, but I did say that I was going to make a video response to it. And I decided to save it until week 2's question. And this is going to be the last video before I do week 3. So, you're going to see me looking down a lot because I wrote some notes about what she said that I wanted to address and talk about. And, so first thing is first. Yes, I do believe I'm an old soul. I know I am an old soul. Trying to remember. I think I was either a tween or a young teenager when I discovered one of my past lives. At the time, I thought it was my first past life, or well, I wasn't sure if it was my first past life or if it was my most recent one. But it was what was ironic was that the past life that came to me first was the one where I was a witch. I was a female witch at that life. And I don't really know what year it was. I kind of think that it was like the 1600s, but I'm not good with identifying years like that. So, I'm not gonna go into like how I died and all that, which is one of the first ways that I'll find out. Like, I'll first see my past life in the form of me dying. Like, I'm a channeler, so I channel the last moments of a spirit's death, my spirit included. And so that's how I found my past life. In fact, I think that was the first time my channeling power activated, which was around the time that I was first starting witchcraft, before I got serious at 19. Later on, I discovered my most recent past life. And then that was what questioned me into thinking that the first one that I saw was my first past life. But I actually... I don't know how long, what was it? I'm going to say somewhere within this year, maybe last year, I discovered what my real first life was. and that was a the chief's daughter of the Navajo Native American tribe, not Indian, and it really helped explain my connection to Kokopelli. Oops, it's getting kind of dark. Can't see me. Hello. So yeah, Kokopelli is related to the Navajo and the Hopi, and yes, I just kind of found that interesting. There was just a bunch of signs, especially um, my desire to go back to Arizona. Well, my desire to go to Arizona, um, which would be in this life my first time, but my soul's at least second time. And Arizona, before I even knew about my first life and about the Navajo tribe, period, I was drawn to Arizona, and later I found out that it is that's around the area where the tribe lives. So that's just a few of my past lives. I'm not gonna go into all of them right now. What I'm gonna kind of paraphrase, do like a paraphrased quote of what she said in the video. She talks about how part of the spirit is reincarnated whilst the other part stays behind. And yes, I do believe that myself. I do believe that um, I believe that most of the spirit gets reincarnated, and the part that stays behind, I think, is what people call their higher self. That when someone is talking about how they're talking to their higher self or something, that's what I feel is the part of the spirit that's left behind. That's the part of spirit that um, I feel that there are multiple cycle pumps or spirit guides that help you cross to the other side, and I believe the higher self is one of them. I think that's why it stays on the spirit world, so that way it has that you have that ability to tap into that spiritual knowledge again, and also have a familiar energy guide you back to your true home. So, summary. Oh, another thing she talks about is how some spirits. Now, this is like talking about individual spirits, not your own spirit. Before I was talking about your own soul, I'm using spirit because that's the word she used, but I actually say soul. So before I was talking about your own soul or my own soul. This case I'm talking about multiple souls. So like that could be like family members, friends, yada yada. You get the drift. And she talks about how some reincarnate and some stay behind. I believe this as well. I also believe that some I know I can't remember who said, but there was someone who was talking about how if humans can't come back as animals or something like that, and like I think I can't remember exactly what their words were, but it seemed like they were talking about something like if you're a human in this life, you will always come back as a human, just like an animal will always come back as an animal, or maybe they didn't even believe animals were reincarnated. Like I said, I can't quite remember. It was something along those lines, that nature. And I disagree. I have personally felt the energy of my grandmother in a bird, specifically the cardinal, but also in bluebirds. Actually, well, it was the cardinal first, but the very first bluebird I ever saw, it definitely was my grandmother's energy. Um, when my great grandmother and great grandfather passed, they also came back as cardinals, and I felt that they were doing this to kind of give that physical representation that they're not gone until I came to understanding and Mum came to understanding that they're within our soul and our heart. They're in our chemistry. They're in our body makeup. They're in our memories. And so now they don't come back in the physical sense as often. And I believe that they were coming back as animals, specifically birds, because birds don't have a long lifespan. So they would essentially die again and go back to the spirit world, because they definitely are still in the spirit world, and I know that's to help us. especially since in my family between my great grandparents and my grandmother, hello, darling. They kind of were. My family was a very logical based family. It was very, um, get a normal job. Um, you were either a Christian or you just, you didn't believe in anything, but you respected the fact that certain people in the family were Christians. So that was kind of the way the family was and how it was growing up. Um, you didn't talk about your emotions. There wasn't a lot of depth in the family, which is weird because we had a lot of fun times. And honey, you're kind of in the way. Oh, hello. Um, we had a lot of fun times and we had a lot of family traditions, but it was just there wasn't a lot of spirituality and there wasn't a lot of um emotional connection. And I think now that they've crossed over, they've gained that wisdom. They're trying to stay in the spirit world so that way we can connect with them and work with them and get spiritual knowledge. And they can be there for us in the spirit world in the way that they couldn't, or rather weren't, in the physical world. Then she goes on to talk about if you can choose your life or your path and all of that. Okay. I don't know if I've said this before, but this is something I've had as a thought for quite some time. I believe it actually is bringing me back to high school, my freshman year. I had an English teacher. I don't even remember how we got to talking about that, but she in high school, you gotta be careful, especially in public high school. You gotta be careful about what you talk about, especially if you're going into like reincarnation and stuff like that, because of all the diverse belief systems and of this, how quickly it can go into a religious setting. So she said some type of disclaimer, and then posed the question about, do you believe in fate and destiny, or do you believe in free will? And I I'm gonna say what I said back then, but it's gonna be a little more profound because I understand it more and I have um more support than I did back then. Back then it was just kind of like something I knew, but now I've kind of like delved into it a little more, so now I can support my answer. I believe both. I believe we have free will, but we also have, oh, what's the word? We have like these milestones that happen in our life. Um, and because I also believe in quantum physics, which I need to get back into studying, but because I believe in that, I believe that, how do I say this? That there are multiple possibilities. And what I mean by that is with okay, you have free will to pretty much do almost anything. Let's say you have, to make it simple, Joe has, three possibilities of a life to live. He has A, B, and C, um, all of which are very possible, but he has the free will to pick um, any one of them. So let's say he picks B. Then that catapults 1, 2, and 3 to happen, and that can either be where he again picks one or two or even all three, if that's possible, all of them, or he'll pick the one path and walk that. I hope I'm making sense. It's kind of hard to explain. Um, but basically what I'm saying is that I kind of believe that, okay, I won't give an exact example, but for me, I know I know that if I marry this certain person, I know how my life will turn out. I know how many children I will have. I know the sexual orientation of at least definitely my first child. I know um, the genders of all of the children. And if I stick to that plan, if I stick to marrying that specific person, that reality will come to exist in the physical world. However, I have the free will to not marry that person, and but in doing so, it changes everything. You know what I'm saying? It's just like little things. Little things can like completely change your future, and that's what I'm talking about. I kind of believe that we have the option to become an old soul. I mean, to become an old soul, we have the option to uh, decide what family we want to have, or we can have that be, spiritually guided. Now, with the choosing part, I kind of believe that when we die, so when I die, I will go back to spirit, and I will convene with spirits, my spirit guides, and my guardian angel, with the elements and all of that, with all the energies. We will all have a convention, and we will talk about my next life. And I believe that some will say A, B, and C you have to experience, because you haven't experienced it yet, or you need to re-experience. And then I will have the choice to say yay or nay. Some will also be imposed because of whatever reason. And I will also have the option to say, I want to experience E, F, and G, because I either just want to, or I have not, or I really liked it and I want to, experience again. Like maybe I'm having to experience karma in my next life. So I want to, anything that I enjoyed in experiencing in this life, I might want to revisit to kind of lighten up the karma, not make me so depressed and mopey, and be able to push through my karma much easier. Stuff like that. That's how I believe about the fate and free will. And I prefer to use the term fate instead of destiny, because I kind of feel destiny is just too pretty. I feel it's like a coddling, whereas fate, I kind of feel deals with it on a factual level. Like sometimes it's going to be unpleasant, sometimes it's going to be pleasant. So that's just me. Then she goes into cellular memory, and I totally resonated with this when she said that, because um, once my grandmother died and I got a little older, it's almost like there was a mental shift. And I'm not going to say all of it, but one of the things that seemed to spike was my natural ability, which to my knowledge wasn't there before, in baking and cooking, especially baking. It just seemed to really catapult. And that happened mostly after my grandmother died, but also another little spike happened once my great-grandmother died. I also became a little bit more of a tinkerer once my great-grandfather died. And I became a little more rebellious when my grandmother died, and I became a little more experimental when my great uncle died. And I don't want to necessarily specify in that. I don't mean in like sexual ways. But yeah, I don't want to paint a wrong picture or anything like that, so I'm not going to specify what that meant. But then she goes into like some of the basic what you call them, character traits of an old soul, about not being very materialistic. I like to say I'm spiritualistic, not materialistic. However, don't get me wrong, I do love my things. And I think the reason why I love my things so much is because I buy investments. When I'm buying something, I plan to have it until I die. It's not something that I'm buying because, oh, that's cute or that's pretty. It's because it's productive or effective, or uh, represents me and is um, an inanimate extension of myself. And so, even though I am a little more on the materialistic, on the spiritualistic side, I do love my things. And I do love having money so I can get my things. And I do love looking good, so I am a little vain. But if I can't keep up with my vanity, the way I want to, or if I can't buy the things that I want to, it's not the end of the world. I, I I easily go back to just being spiritually minded very easily. I sometimes I do experience boredom quite easily. I know that was with like in regards to like wanting to party, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, and all that. That was something I didn't really do, and it's kind of hard because I'm hearing older people saying how they've, would run around topless, or they would flash guys, or they would flash girls, or they would get utterly baked or something, or completely wasted and like puking. And I was like, I'm almost 22, and I've just never had a desire to do that. But that's because I'm an old soul, and I'm just gonna respect it for what it is. Sometimes um, it does bother me because I feel like I'm not allowing myself to live in this life, in this moment, in the age that I'm at now. But I'm not gonna push myself either. I mean, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. If I'm not gonna get upset about it. Um, Another thing was talking about having old things and old friends. That's been all my life. I've always talked to people about 10 years or more older than me. Usually, sometimes 20, sometimes even 30 years older than me. And old things, yes, that's kind of more of a recent thing. I love heirlooms, specifically for my family because there's not much known about my family, and so much of the things in my family have gotten lost because of one reason or another. So it's utterly priceless and very dear to my heart, and it means so much to me when I get to have something passed down from my family. Lanterns. Oh, loners. Ha ha. Can't read my writing. So yes, she talks about how we're loners. That's so true. It's actually a daily effort for me to remember to even socialize with my mom. Honestly, because I don't, it's completely against the normal psychological understanding of humanity, but I don't get that switch off into depression if I don't socialize with people for like an extended period of time. I could go completely off the grid and I would maintain my sanity. Basically, what I'm saying is that I wouldn't become like, what's his name? Tom Hanks from Castaway. I wouldn't feel the need to create sport balls into people to talk with. I've just never been that way, you know. Damn it. I've just never had that trigger go off. It's never been that way for me. I remember my mom and some teachers, more so my mom, was worried for me about that, about maybe I was gonna be a sociopath or something. But it's just something I don't go through. Um so like I said, it's a daily effort to remind myself to socialize and to interact. And that's why I kind of like social media, because if I don't want to hear someone's bullshit, or if I don't feel like talking to you, I can just turn my phone off. It's a real shitty thing, I know, but sometimes I just don't want to deal with it. Um, and then the last thing I want to touch upon, which is kind of ironic because it kind of touches on my last videos, is about how they tend to be a homosexual or bisexual. And this isn't necessarily the case with me. However, not only did I experience the questionability of my sexual orientation, but um, I did reach that level of having profound love for everyone, not on a romantic level, but on a respectful level. And I misconstrued that as being pansexual, but what it is just unconditional love for every um, living thing on this planet. I don't care if you're the reason why I die. If you kill me, I'm still gonna love you. I'm not gonna like you. I'm gonna be quite disappointed and angry, but I will still love you because that's just something that was awakened in me, and that's just something I not necessarily have to deal with, but it's something that I experience, and I'm very grateful to have that profound, undying, unconditional love for everyone. It's a very beautiful feeling. So if you can ever get to that point, I do suggest you try. But that's my video response to Samantha Samantha Valens. Hi. So, oops. So I'm gonna head off, and I'm gonna come back, and I don't know which video I'll do next. You'll just have to be surprised. So, as always, thank you for watching, and blessed be, my dear witchlings.